All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be touching on the top plays here for the American Express, but first, just a quick recap from last week. So last week was another pretty easy week. It was a straightforward week for that matter as well. All the core plays made the cut. The high exposure plays did really well. I mean, a few missed cuts here and there, but overall, that was probably going to be one of, if not the easiest weeks to predict on paper, and that actually ended up coming through. Now, they're not all going to be like that, but it was very nice to have basically a sweat-free week. And the biggest sweat that it turned out that we had was the chalkiest player, Adam Svensson, being a cut sweat. He ended up making the cut, which I phrased it that way because it still would have been a profitable week had he not made the cut. But because he did make the cut, I was able to have some pretty darn good finishes. All in all, you guys can see with the build that I had out there, Svensson kind of struggling on the tail end of his back nine on Sunday did kind of ruin a really solid lineup path week. But hopefully you guys were able to take advantage of the plays that I was on last week. I know I gave a sample build out last week that was very similar to this. So that's 2 weeks in a row where, you know, really put you guys down right on the optimal path. And heck, if you guys made one small pivot here, you could have won a GPP. So round 2, I did have a near GPP takedown showdown wise, but I'm going to show you guys the example of this. This is from round 2. This is tilt. So I almost took down a GPP on the main slate, almost took down a GPP on the showdown slate. And then this was frustrating in the sense that everyone else that I like went on my way to pick ADP wise and best ball drafts, round by round best ball drafts, ended up doing what you'd want. The one play that really kind of failed me was kind of the one pick I was forced into. That was Matt Fitzpatrick. If you guys aren't familiar with this, this is from Underdog here, where you do a snake draft. And so basically Ludwig had went, I think it was Chris Kirk, then I had the third pick and I went Matt Fitzpatrick. I could have went to other players, don't get me wrong, but that was frustrating that I literally just missed out on taking down GPP just because of the ADP that I had with that pick. But all in all, guys, it is kind of a straightforward week that we have at the American Express. Do want to just show you guys the weather right now. It is looking like a very, very good weather course. This is going to be a 3-course rotation. I don't want to get into like the details of the 3-course rotation. What I want to call out for you guys is the fact that they are going to be playing on 3 different courses. They got this will flash up here, the Pete Dye course, the Stadium course, La Quinta Country Club, and then also the Nicholas Tournament. For showdown purposes, that will matter, and I'll break that down in a separate video for round 1 showdown preview. But for this video where I'm just highlighting the top plays, it doesn't matter. What you need to know is that all golfers are going to be playing 3 rounds. So this is kind of a hybrid tournament. You know, on the Century Tournament Champions, I was really shocked at some of the ownerships that we had, because all in all for the STOC, all you really try to do is something like this: blindly click and then go down to some values, blindly click, and you are good to go, because you're chasing the top end guys, knowing that everyone is going to get 4 rounds and just hoping that one of the top end guys ends up winning. For this tournament, it's a little bit different because it does have a cut, but the cut's going to be after 3 rounds. So it's kind of a hybrid where you can be a little bit more risky, knowing that you are going to get like 3 rounds out of everyone, and knowing that the points on the high end will still somewhat offset a player if they miss the cut. And so it's, for the most part, it isn't typically worthwhile to like try to get these golfers in the middle range, you know, because all in all, how much are they going to really outscore someone? And then if one of them randomly misses the cut, you're out of luck. And so honestly, I'll go forward with a very easy strategy for you guys. So let's try to make one work with Cantlay, Xander, and Scotty. We can't with the average salary remaining, so we'll get off of Scotty and we'll go with JT Poston, who I'll show you is going to be one of the better picks this week. Put him in there, and then we go down to the bottom here. Let's see if we can find any logical golfers to be on this low. I will say Peter Malnati does stick out like a sore thumb in this group. Typically speaking, he's a guy that will play, you know, pretty solid, but no, we can do better than that, I think. Roger Sloan, okay, he's been doing really well on the Korn Ferry Tour. This is someone like, for this kind of example where we're just trying to punt, maybe he continues to play well like he had been on the PGA Tour or on the Korn Ferry Tour, former PGA Tour player. Kevin Yu, if you guys look at any of the PGA Tour stats, he is always someone that's popping up on a bunch of the stats. He can score. That's pretty evident. I mean, if you look at his past like rounds, he really hasn't had a bad tournament. He typically has a bad round mixed in there. And so the fact that we're going to get 3 rounds out of him, and look at this, guys, it's crazy. But the fact that we're going to get 3 rounds out of him, I love that. If we get 2 good rounds out of him where he's scoring, he could easily outproduce someone that maybe just shoots 1 under par each round. If he gets us 5 under par one round, 2 over par another round, 4 under par another round, like that's going to be great. And so I really don't mind him as a punt play here for this kind of strategy, if you will. From there, who else could we roll with? Ben Martin's kind of a guy that sticks out there in terms of like who's better than everyone else around him. Nico has been someone that's been playing pretty well. Did well at the STOC, made the cut to Sony. Maybe someone you're looking at, you know, he's been playing well. You could easily fit him in there. Aaron Baddeley was someone we were kind of playing I believe it was during the fall swing, so not terrible. My guy Troy Merritt's right here. We know he's someone that can go low a bunch. Actually, I might just end up on him regardless. Then you have 6.4 left over. I mean, yeah, probably just go maybe Ches Reavie you could toss in there, but maybe Sloan, maybe Justin Lauer actually would probably be the player I would go with for this example. -3 at the RSM Classic. Again, not terrible. We'll take 3 decent rounds out of him. Has actually been pretty solid. I mean, yeah, we would take that. So for example purposes, like that's how you could apply this strategy, because again, it's kind of like a no-cut event. You really want to chase the upside plays, and then on the lower end, you're just kind of hedging a miscut out of a golfer in this price range, right? But there are some good plays in this price range, so let's go ahead and get into the normal breakdown here. Now, guys, looking at course history, it matters, but it also doesn't matter. This is a tournament that there is higher variance given the 3-course rotation. Now, we saw that the weather probably not going to play a factor, but occasionally there is weather here that does change really who makes the cut, dependent on which course they started on. And so it is just typically a higher variance type of tournament because of that, a little bit more fluky of a week. And that's why punting to the value tier can be a good strategy like that. But all in all, looking at the golfers that have the best course history over the past 4 years, golfers that have multiple starts here: Patrick Cantlay, number 1, Sungjae Im, you can see 4 straight top 20 finishes. Adam had one in there. Tony Finau, 1 bad finish in there. Willie Z, played terribly. I don't think we're going to be playing him. Played terribly at the Sony Open, but decent course history. Alex Smalley, Seabaz. So you guys can see kind of spread out there. Scotty's mixed in there. So again, like not too worried about it as a whole. Course history wise, it's a good thing to look at for sure. And then jumping into recent form, which golfers are coming in with the best recent form? You got Xander, Scotty, Eric Cole popping up in there. JT Poston, like I mentioned, he's someone I think we're going to be going out of our way to play. You got Jaeger there as well, who's just been a cut making machine. Had a pretty good week last week as well. Cameron Davis is popping up in there. Tom Kim, Akshay popping up in there. He's at a soft price tag. So don't get me wrong. There's definitely a fair and balanced build that you guys can make that'll be pretty good. And I'm definitely going to be running those out there. It's just a week in which I wouldn't mind deploying different strategies, because Chesson Hadley popping up in there is a little bit shocking. He is someone that did have a couple of good finishes during the fall swing. He's at a cheap price tag. Yeah, Wyndham Clark, Sungjae Im. Field is low-key kind of loaded with great plays. Nick Taylor popping up in there. So you're seeing that some of these plays, or maybe they did play in the fall swing, easier field events, but all in all, I would rather be targeting golfers that we've seen play at least somewhat recently, maybe last week, and at the STOC. Like that is huge to me. So I might be defaulting to some of those golfers. Stat fit wise, guys, just looking at general stats for this week, honestly, it matters, but we're looking at effective scoring, which is going to be a 9-to-5 only stat. Pretty much just takes in a golfer's ability to score, but also make the cut. We're looking at stuff like that, strokes gain differential and whatnot. It's a weird week. So let's just go on and get into the top. So looking at it, guys, the top plays are kind of straightforward. The pricing is correct on the top 4 players in terms of what we're expecting them to do. So number 1, Xander, I guess a little bit of a difference there, but if like Scotty, if you guys choose him, it makes sense. Like they've both been playing really well. Then you have Patrick Cantlay, then Sungjae. I would say there's kind of a big gap between really the top 3 and then Sungjae, but Sungjae has played well at this tournament in the past. So like all in all, if you guys want to be on him, that's fine. What I want to call out is like Jason Day's a decent play for sure. Top 9. Tom Kim is looking like a good play as well. What I want to highlight to you guys is JT Poston is looking like a great play this week. 4th best staff in the field, 4th best recent form in the field. That's coming in off of 2 pretty good starts. Really 3 out of his last 4 finishes have been top 10 finishes. We see a bunch mixed in there. Really came on hot last week in round 4. Kind of maybe had a chance to win, but not really. I mean, it was nice to see him go low, but that's him. Like he's a guy that we're just waiting for him to get hot. And when he does get hot, he presents some huge upside. So at his price tag of 9.1, I think we're going to be rolling with him. We can see 3 out of 4 made cuts here. I'll take that. Last start at this tournament was a top 10 finish. So all in all, JT Poston is looking like a great play. So for giving you guys like a sample build here, I'm just going to go ahead and put him in there. Again, really like the form that he's been in. I think he's going to be a great play. Let's go ahead and jump down into the next tier. To me, Wyndham Clark and Eric Cole are both kind of standout plays at their price tags. Wyndham Clark has been playing extremely well. Like the fact that he played at the Century, but I might go with Eric Cole here just simply because we did see him play at the Sony Open and the Century. Some people might be worried about the travel. Don't get me wrong, I get that, but I would rather play someone that we've at least seen a decent amount recently, and Eric Cole is going to be one of those plays. So last year, Eric Cole kind of got off to a slow start, but he did finish 36 at this tournament, so would love to see that. Key stat-wise, top 12 in the field. Like to see that. We can see like strokes gain differential, which again, it's kind of a hybrid stat this week because it's the start of the season and whatnot. Again, that's why I don't want to put too much into this. Most of this data is from the last 5 starts, which can be dating back 4 months. So that's why again, I didn't want to spend too much time, but all in all, he's about a top 12 stat fit. You know, course history wise, like the fact that he made the cut at this tournament, like the fact that he has been playing extremely well. It's very difficult to pass up on that recent form, especially when we have seen him recently. Again, a lot of players we haven't seen play competitively. Some players didn't even make the trip to Hawaii. So I think targeting someone like Eric Cole does make sense. So if you guys are looking at like starting points for your lineups, I think Polzin, Eric Cole, those are two players that do make a lot of sense. Again, I do like Wyndham Clark, but I want to call it two other plays here. So actually, like Akshay here, I feel like he's an easy click. Just simply put, he kind of seems like kind of getting Eric Cole just cheap, honestly, or JT Poston just cheap. I'll show you guys him in a second here, but while I'm on the Draftkings screen, want to show you guys some other plays here. We got Taylor Montgomery, who's been playing extremely well recently as well. He's kind of easy click. So again, if you guys are trying to do a fair and balanced build, you can, because we have Andrew Putnam here as well in the mid tier, who's, you guys, if you've been following the channel, you know I've been loving me some Andrew Putnam really for the past year. And then while we're here, I want to show you guys Jaeger as well, who at 7.9 seems to be sticking out like a sore thumb as well, just given the consistency that we have seen from him. So we'll start with Akshay here. The one concern that we have from him is that he has made 2 starts at this tournament in the past, albeit he was very young when he made his starts. He's a young player as is. So to see that he made a start here, H3 and H4, which 2021 and 2020, like I don't really care about that, especially for him being as young as he is. He's a completely different player than he was 4 and 3 years. All in all, I just love the form that we're getting from him. 8th best in recent form, you know, pretty decent stat fit. All in all, looking like a pretty stellar play at a cheap price. At the same time, I do think it makes sense to just end up on Taylor Montgomery instead. Maybe not as good of recent form, 20th in recent form rank, but over his past 5, kind of the exact same as Akshay. Also had a 5th place finish at this tournament last year, so I can default to that a little bit more. Again, kind of splitting hairs. I think I'd rather go Taylor Montgomery than Akshay. That being said, I think the 2 easier clicks are going to be Andrew Putnam and Stefan Jaeger. Looking at Putnam, we can see he's just played extremely well at this tournament in the past. Does have some, I guess, ties to California as well, if you guys buy into that narrative. I think it might have been Cal University that he went to college. And anyways, that's what the EDU stands for up there. But course history wise, 36th, 14th, 21st, and 10th. So 4 straight made cuts at this tournament. Has been playing well. We see 3 top 10s over his past 6 starts. Love to see that 1 missed cut mixed in there. All in all, he's someone that has shown us that he can score, and he has played well at this tournament in the past. All in all, he's basically coming in, checking all the boxes, and he's at such a cheap price tag. Top 15 play in the 9-to-5 model at $8K. We will take. And then lastly, the last player that I want to highlight here is going to be Jaeger, coming in as a top 10 play in the 9-to-5 model. Now, I will say my model, the way I have it set up, give you guys both safety and upside. And so what I mean by that is a player like Jaeger, who's just been on a crazy made cut streak, he is going to be favorited a little bit more than, let's say, someone like Taylor Montgomery, who's a little bit more hit or miss. I just want you guys to know that. But we can see course history wise, 36 at this event. And honestly, that's probably what we're expecting from him, is like a top 35 or so finish. But he does give us a lot of safety at such a cheap price tag as well. And so again, kind of getting into the fair and balanced lineup approach that you could roll with, I think it's pretty simple here. Cole, Post, and those are easy starting points. Putnam, Taylor Montgomery, Jaeger. If you didn't want to go with like Taylor Montgomery for, say, you want to get up to Wyndham Clark, you easily could. There are a lot of pretty solid plays down in this pricing tier. Nick Taylor is someone that stands out to me as someone that has been playing pretty well. We saw him play at both the STOC and the Sony Open. I'd be perfectly happy to get to him. Obviously, for this lineup example, we can't make that work. Justin Suh is someone that, at the Sony Open, 1 bad round, the opening round, 73. And that's where, honestly, I think if he played at the Century Tournament Champions, probably makes the cut there. It's just shaking up the rust a little bit, but we're going to get 3 rounds out of him. And if we get 3 rounds out of him at this price tag in this event, as California ties and whatnot, again, I'm not reading into that too much, but he is someone that I think, very low priced, made cut there. He's basically Stefan Jaeger at a much cheaper price tag. I'm perfectly happy to get there. Sam Ryder was someone that we saw some upside with. So there are a bunch of pretty good plays down here. And then Chesson Hadley, we saw him pop up as someone that, again, we haven't seen play thus far this season, but in the fall swing, had some of the best recent form that we had seen. So he's at a cheap price tag as well. But that's going to be all for today's video, guys. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. Again, I'm trying to grow this golf channel as fast as possible. My goal is to get to 500 subscribers before the Players Championship. Let's make that happen, guys. Hit that subscribe button. I do appreciate that. That is going to be all, though, for today's video. If you guys want access to the 9-to-5 Sports tools, they are available at 9to5sports.com for just $10 a month. Get access to the 9-to-5 cheat sheet that I showed you guys during this video. Good luck this week. And as always, let's keep cash.